Staff want a note taker in the meeting. Should you let them have one? I've got Clare Fowler with me from Yes Law, and Clare is a brilliant employment solicitor who's going to help answer this question for us. Over to you, Clare.
Thanks, Sonia. I suppose my first sort of counter question would be, why wouldn't you want a note of the meeting? Even if it's an informal meeting, it's a good idea to keep a record of it. If it's a more formal meeting, it's likely that your colleague will be entitled to have a companion in any case, either a colleague or a trade union representative. But in an informal meeting, whilst they may not have that as a legal entitlement, you'll probably want a note of the meeting anyway. So generally speaking, I don't think there's any harm in agreeing. You perhaps just might want to give a bit of thought to who the note taker is going to be. So if they ask for a note taker, you could propose somebody yourself, somebody that you trust to be a sort of neutral colleague. Because it can be really difficult to capture both sides of a meeting if you're trying to take your own notes as you go. It's relatively easy to capture what the other person says, but it's almost impossible to write down what you're saying, especially if you're responding to things kind of off the cuff. So yes, I mean, you can agree and you can potentially have some control over who the note taker is.
Great, thanks, Claire. Really useful. What about recording, voice recording, or even video recording the meeting?
That's something else you could consider if you feel comfortable with that. Your setting might have policies about not recording meetings or not recording without asking first. So you should check what those are. I think if you're going to record a meeting as an employee, as an employer, you need to make sure that you've got the employee's consent. But again, it can be a very good record of what's happened if you're both happy with that. And as long as you make sure that you share the recording afterwards, I think that's important to make sure that both people have a copy.
Brilliant. It sounds like this is really about transparency and supporting each other.
Yes, I think that's exactly right. I think that staff members might be more likely to ask for this or be worried about it if they don't understand the reason for the meeting, or they don't trust you for some reason, or maybe there's a medical reason that they need notes being made. So I think, bear all those things in mind. If they're worried about the reason for the meeting, I think you can kind of head that off before you even start by being open about the reason for it. Don't just drop a random meeting in someone's calendar saying informal chat, because that's going to make them panic. Just make sure that they're clear about what it's for, and then that might head off some of the concern to start with. If you think that they are worried and for some reason they don't trust you, do you know why that is? Are you the right person to have the meeting? What's the history to it? Do you need some support in the meeting, maybe from HR or someone to back you up? And of course, if there's a medical reason, it might be, for example, that the person is really anxious and is worried that they're not going to retain any of the information from the meeting. They might suffer from ADHD or something like that, which means it's very difficult, or their short-term memory is poor. They might be going through the menopause and that's affecting their concentration and memory. So there's lots of different reasons why it could be a perfectly valid request. So you do need to consider it and, if possible, respond positively and be sympathetic.
Brilliant. All fantastic advice. And I think what I love, Claire, is it really comes from a place of we're just trying to help each other out, navigate a difficult time for all parties. And Claire, I'm aware that Yes Law is great at supporting employees as well when they're going through challenging times. So you just want to just give a little heads up to get all of our names in here as to how Yes Law can support employees. If perhaps you've got an employee who maybe they need a bit of advice, they might be going to the unions, but maybe they need a bit of legal advice. How can Yes Law support?
Yes, if you've got a situation where either you need some advice or a second opinion or an informal chat through an issue yourself, or you've got an employee who you feel would really benefit from some independent legal advice, you can pass on Yes's details to them. And we always offer a sort of free initial 20-minute or so appointment where we can talk through any problems that are going on and perhaps how to approach them constructively. our emphasis is completely on trying to resolve difficult situations without litigation. So we, you know, we encourage people to communicate as openly as possible and to mediate if necessary.
Brilliant. I've always heard good things about the people I've sent towards Yes. So do check them out, and remember to check out other top tip videos we've got on the channel, and subscribe to make sure you're alerted as soon as the next one comes out. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.